Hello. Chances are you clicked on this video because you're interested in a cure or treatment for the condition of Candida overgrowth in the intestines. You came to the right place because I've had it 15 years ago and I got rid of it, and I'll tell you how. It took a while. But it took a while because I was going to doctors, and my chiropractor is the one who diagnosed it and found it, actually. Doctors didn't even suspect Candida overgrowth. Well, we're talking about Candida overgrowth of the Candida Albicans bacterium, which is normal. You have it normally. It's in its bacterial state, it's fairly beneficial and benign, I think. But what happens is it turns into a fungal state, and then it becomes dangerous. Okay, and that's what I had. What happened to me was I had several courses of antibiotics, and antibiotics kill off your good bacteria as well as your bad infection. Okay? And Candida overgrowth condition is not an infection because you have it normally. It's not a Candida infection. You have it normally. What happens is the good bacteria get killed off, which keep the Candida in balance and in check. And so then the Candida grows and becomes the fungal state. And then it puts down feet or tendrils and wears away the intestinal lining, making it thinner and thinner and thinner. And this gives you what's called leaky gut syndrome. And my intestinal permeability tests were off the charts. I was having problems. I'd been diagnosed with Graves' disease, and I had thyroid problems and stuff, and the Candida probably started it because it produces toxins, and it gets toxins into your bloodstream with the leaky gut syndrome. You get bowel material into your bloodstream because before the intestinal lining was thick, but now it's way thin. And a sugar molecule that could not go through the thick intestines can now go through the thinned out intestines, and you get what's called malabsorption. And so I had this. Candida can give you what's called brain fog. That's one of the symptoms. I not only had brain fog where I couldn't find the open end of a brown paper bag, standing at the open end of the brown paper bag with somebody pointing the way out. Okay, that's how much brain fog I had. Okay, I had brain fire. Can you imagine cayenne pepper on your brain? That's what my head felt like. I tried telling doctors this, oh, the brain doesn't feel pain, etc., 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 yada, 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 yada. Oh, the brain doesn't feel pain. I kept trying to tell them, this is what I have, this is what I have, this is what I feel like, this is how I feel, this is what it feels like. I couldn't get anywhere with some doctors. I think doctors know too much. You can't fit anything else in there. Anyway, brain fire. If you can imagine cayenne pepper on the brain, then you can imagine what it is. I hurt from the top of my head to the soles of my feet. My hands were just like arthritis. They just ached whenever I tried to close them or do anything with them. Well, it was cayenne pepper. I put cayenne pepper on my food as a spice, right? As well as regular pepper, black pepper, and Tabasco sauce, and sometimes I had chili and stuff like that, right? Well, it was the cayenne pepper. I had leaky gut syndrome, and the cayenne pepper would leak into the body and the bloodstream, and the bloodstream goes everywhere, and it stopped. There's proof. Proof of concept is it stopped when I stopped having cayenne pepper and changed my diet. I had hospital bland food diet because I didn't know what else to do. And neither did anybody else, including my chiropractor. I was going to the chiropractor for my back issues and neck issues and stuff, and I told him my problems every time that I went there, and after about 4 months, he said, I must have mentioned brain fog or whatever and stuff. He says I'm going to check something out. And he gets this little silver case out, and he puts it on my tummy, and he does the muscle testing, the kinesiology on that. And boy, if you're strong, you're okay. If you can resist, you're okay. But if you're weak, that's a problem. And so I was weak as a kitten. You know, I couldn't keep my arm up at all. And I said, what is that? He says, you have Candida. I said, what's that? I didn't know. Well, it's an overgrowth of this bacterium, and it becomes a fungal state, and blah 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 blah. And he only suspected it because he had had it 15 years earlier than I did. Well, now I've had it 15 years earlier. You know, this was 15 years ago for me. So anyway, I said, what do we do for it? And he says, well, we'll do 45 days of undecanoic acid, and that'll kill it. Okay. We do 45 days of undecanoic acid, and maybe it killed it, maybe it didn't, but I didn't notice because I didn't feel any better. I also went online and learned about the free in-home Candida test. You take a clear glass, you fill it 3/4 or half to 3/4 full, and then you leave it by your bedside. And in the morning, you get about a gob of spit up, not huckaloo, okay, but just get some spit up and just put that in the glass. Go get ready for your day and stuff, and come back about every 20 minutes. After an hour, if there's legs hanging down and there's suspended material in the middle and there's like a little slime on the bottom, you're positive for Candida. If you just have the saliva on top and there's no legs growing down that looks like a jellyfish, you're okay. Free in-home test, just a water test, okay? Mine was textbook classic positive. I had the legs coming down like a jellyfish, I had the suspended material, and I had the slime on the bottom. I was positive. I had the white thrush in the back of my throat, which no doctor even noticed. And they checked me out. They didn't get the symptom. My first doctor missed my thyroid system, my thyroid cyst. My thyroid cyst was here. And I was putting my thumb on it. You know, and they missed it because they do this test. They palpate this way instead of having you turn and look up and drink a glass of water and swallow. And that's how my Chinese doctor friend found it. He was a full-blown medical doctor from Beijing, China, did his residency at the Beijing hospital. He finds it right off in about 5 minutes, if that. Or my other doctor missed it 3 times. I don't have a lot of respect for some doctors. Candida, let's get back to Candida, okay? And the Candida albicans in the intestine overgrowth condition. This is a condition. This is not a sickness, this is not an illness, this is not an infection, it is not a disease, and it is not a disorder. It is quite tameable, in fact. It's quite simple to tame. You don't need the Candida diet, you don't need to change your foods or anything. You have to know the cause. With me, it was antibiotics that killed off the good bacteria and kept it in check. So what's the treatment? Probiotics. It's a deficiency of probiotics. I went online. I looked for probiotics for Candida. I found this Japanese pharmaceutical company, Global Health Tracks or something like that, or it was the distributor for this company. And they have a product called 3-lac, and they have another product called 5-lac. Well, I've got the 3-lac. It's $50 a box. In 30 days, I felt better. You get 60 little packets, and I was taking like 3 of them 2-3 times a day at the beginning and stuff like that. And I felt better after the first 30 days. Whereas I did the undecanoic acid, I didn't feel any better at all. Okay? This stuff contains 3 different types of bacteria that eat Candida for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. And it worked. It took about 7 boxes, and over about a 8 or 9, 10 month period. I thought I was okay for a month or 2, but it started coming back or something, and so I got some more. Okay, so it took about 10 months for me because I got a couple of other boxes. Well, years later, here 4 or 5 years ago or whatever, I had been getting sinus infections. We had black mold in our old house, and we didn't know it. So I was getting sinus infections all the time. And so more antibiotic use. And no doctor tells you, after this course of antibiotics, go get yourself some probiotics and reestablish your colonies of good bacteria. No doctor ever told me that, even my chiropractor who'd had the condition 15 years before. So get yourself some probiotics, and I'll tell you what I got this last time. I had this course of antibiotics, and after the antibiotics have done their job, don't take probiotics while you're taking antibiotics, you'll just kill them. But 2 to 3 weeks after you're done with your antibiotics, get your probiotics. Go to the health food store, look for see, you don't have to get the 3-lac. I'm not here to sell you a product. I don't get any, I'm not an affiliate or anything like that. I'm not here to sell you anything. However, look for the 400 billion colony forming unit probiotics. It'll say on the label, okay, 400 billion. Okay, I think they even have 800 billion, which is probably what I would get now. But the 400 billion did me pretty good, and it took about 2 jars. You only get about 5 servings, okay, but that's all you really need. You know, I mean, it was $50 for 60 packets for the 3-lac. Well, this is about $33, $35, depending probably on where you go. And it's the answer. It really does the trick. In other words, it puts the situation right. It reestablishes your good gut flora and fauna. And it cuts back the Candida back to its normal state. In other words, it's cured. You have define the word cured. Taken care of the situation, taken care of the condition, returned back to normal. Cured. Okay, not miraculously, didn't happen really overnight, okay, but it worked really good, pretty quick. With the 400 billion colony forming unit stuff, I felt better that day in about 2 hours, no kidding, okay. So that's the real solution. You must reestablish your gut flora and fauna, your gut bacteria. That's it. Now, the leaky gut syndrome took 3 years. This was all clinical with my chiropractor through supplements. There were no drugs. But there was a product called Intestinal Repair Complex. It was $33 a jar. You got only about 12 to 14 days per jar, so you needed 2 of them a month. There was another product called Ultra Clear Plus. That's about $70 a canister. You know those big protein canisters? Something like that, okay? And that was 70 bucks a month. This was costing us about 136 bucks a month for at least 3 years, from 2004-ish to 2007. And even after that, I've had intestinal damage. See, it wears down your intestinal lining, and it wears those nubs that are good for digestion down, okay, for absorption, not digestion, that's your stomach, but for absorption of nutrients and stuff like that. These nubs get worn down, they get damaged, okay. And so I had to deal with that, and I have had to be gluten-free for the most part, although now I can do some gluten. But I have soy sensitivity and egg sensitivity and corn sensitivity. I can't even have popcorn. There was a time last decade, in the midst of my malady, I didn't have ice cream for 6 years because I tried that stupid Candida diet stuff, and I had that leaky gut syndrome, and you've got this sugar, you know, going into your bloodstream and other things going into your bloodstream. Cayenne pepper. So now I can have Tabasco again. I don't have to have a diet, a Candida diet or whatever. Yogurt has bacterium in it, but your good probiotic bacteria in it, but it's not enough. You don't need millions, and you don't need 2 or 3 or 5 billion. Like the 3-lac was like 2.5 billion per packet or something like that. You need 400 billion because your gut contains 100 trillion bacteria. That's like 500 galaxies the size of the Milky Way. Okay? 200 billion stars in the Milky Way times 5 is a trillion, times 100, 500 galaxies. Okay, in your gut. It's a universe in there, really, literally, for your bacteria. And you need to replenish that. That'll get rid of the thrush in your sinuses and in your throat and on your tongue and down your esophagus and in your stomach and throughout your intestines. I had a real severe case. And to a certain extent, I'm still probably living with some of the symptoms, with some of the after effects. Okay. So, but I don't have the Candida because it's in balance. I don't have the overgrowth condition. So, blessings. I'm Ex-Boomer1. And if you want to, you can check out my other videos on negative emotions, because of my Candida and the leaky gut syndrome, I had a lot of damage, a lot of toxins, and that's probably what brought on the aggressive autoimmune response and the Graves' disease and the no thyroid and stuff. So I have emotional problems, and I am now an independent emotional researcher. And so in 2007, I used to walk around the house in my bathrobe going, what happened to me? I was so cool. I was walking around in shock. Well, in 2009, excuse me, I discovered this technique. And you can go look up my work, Happiness is No Charge, and go look at some of my other videos and learn about a technique if you're having some emotional problems, severe or otherwise. I've had severe emotional problems over the last 15-20 years because of my stroke, as well as no thyroid, which is a regulator for emotions and hormones and stuff like that. So anyway, thank you so much. I hope you cure your Candida overgrowth condition rapidly. Please look into probiotics. You don't have to have a diet. You don't have to change your diet. Thank you so much. Bless you, bless you, bless you. See you next time.